And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda ji commences tonight's satsang with a Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We begin with Mystic Song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is called Adorations to the Devi. We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda in Miami, Florida. Today is August the 5th, 2020, Wednesday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Yoga Vasistha. This is series 2018, class number 262. And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhubhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. We continue with Yoga Vasistha, Nirvana Prakarana Purvardha, Section 3. The topic, dissolution of the delusion of duality, DDD. Sage Vasistha continues to give profound insight into the process that leads to enlightenment and the state of enlightenment. What are the characteristics of one who has attained enlightenment? This visible world arises due to delusion pertaining to essential nature. When the delusion is removed by knowledge, this world is recognized as Brahman only. Then duality ceases to exist. This is a very simple point and yet very profound. Simple point. All that you are experiencing, you cannot consider them real. If you are open to your deeper evaluation of how things are. Because all your experiences are the magic of your brain and nervous system. Like all that you see through your iPad and through your computer website, lots of things you see. But not a single thing can you touch, nor can you really possess it. You can order all types of foods and they show up in the computer. With soft vapor coming out of it. But nothing can you really hold on to. So, jokingly I'm trying to describe the role of mind. Mind is totally different from your nervous system. It's just like the energy that is flowing through your computer that creates all that. That mind again is absolute, cosmic mind. It's the mind behind all computers. That's the whole company there, computer company. I'm jokingly telling that. Now, but then that very mind holds the secret of leading the soul to liberation. It is that mind that has caused bondage. And it is the mind that will lead you to liberation. Brahman is the ocean of fullness, wherein fullness flows into fullness. It is the truth, wherein the truth enlightens the truth. It is a void where therein there is the absolute cessation of the world process. Now, giving allegorical way, all through your life you want to be full. I'm not talking about the bodily full. You want to be fully satisfied. Param Tripti. And that is the essential reality, Brahman. Brahman is the ocean of fullness. But as long as you are trying to figure out through your mind, whatever way you figure out Brahman that you want to attain, your mental concept of Brahman is always little compared to what Brahman really is. So therefore, you adopted a certain concept of fullness of Brahman, Purnam, that you now hearing about, and you become thrilled by Purnam. But 2 or 3 days later, your Purnam will be little more Purnam if you are successfully progressing. So fullness flows into fullness. And that goes on happening. An unending fullness. And similarly, the absolute self is truth. This is your mental concept, mental language. Truth. But this language starts inspiring you. But how do you understand the truth and what inspiration you got today? Few days later, few months later, if you are following the integration movement, progressing the path, you'll find your previous concept was very little. Now really that's what it means. So fullness flows into fullness. Om flows into higher understanding of Om. The mantra Om is called Pranava, therefore it is ever new. Which is intellect enlightened by the vision of non-duality. A sage, though performing actions by his mind and senses, is ever established in actionlessness. He is ever free from the sense of doership. There are many ships are there. Doership, enjoyership. Relationship. All these ships are going to be wrecked. First, your attention should go, who is the real doer? Who is the enjoyer? Who is the knower? Who? And who is I in me? Who is the ego in me? That who is the doer, enjoyer, etc. And that who is your essential nature, Brahman, the Absolute. So, in the case of one who is enlightened, his internal, intrinsic understanding is not limited to ego, because for majority of people who are not following the path, or even those who follow, who have not attained higher level, your identity stops with your ego. How do you feel? How you think you are? What is keeping you under burden? What type of burden do you have? Burden of your load of money you have gotten, or burden of your misery? All that I'm trying to demonstrate, that all that you think is in the terms of your ego. Only time you don't ask all these questions when you go to sleep. You have no choice. In deep sleep, ego slips away. And you are completely void of all the world that was constantly being entertained by your mind. The entire world moves away. And you don't miss it. You don't miss it, that itself is a subtle echo of the reality. Your real identity does not depend upon anything of this world. Neither the sky, nor the earth, nor the sun, nor the moon, nor the past, nor the present, nor the future. Not all the stories, vast description of multiplicity of the world, all that moves away. And you don't miss it. Because the real I am is completely the highest truth. The world that you experience is like a mirage. The world you experience is like a cinema show. The truth is like the screen behind all the show. All the show is like so many reflected suns and so many illuminations. The truth, the sun. So all these again, what we are saying are allegorical descriptions. But that's the best way you can do. And therefore, what you are being told, when we practice vichar, allow your mind first to understand the most important point that you must pursue. Who am I? Your I is the key behind all things that you go around, go after, joyously or with a sense of misery. All things that you bring to your mind. How could you bring it if you don't have the I? It is for Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. For the sake of that I, all becomes dear. What is that I? Who am I? And when you open that, then comes role of affirmation, listening to satsanga, doing your own thinking process. Allow your mind to hold the ideal to be realized. That aham, the real aham, is void of egoism. Egoism called ahamata. The real I am is void of mindness, mamata, void of ahamata, void of mamata, the void of asserting, I have done this. This, I didn't do that, he did it. Especially if it is something not so commendable. But I will not lead you to that joke. And bhokta. I am the enjoyer. How many good karmas have I done? Look, those stupid people, they haven't done those good karmas. This type of thinking. All these have nothing to do with you. The I am is absolutely untouched. That I am should become your focus. Just like when you come to realize where lies the best value, where is the treasure, then you begin to let your effort go towards that treasure. Similarly, this is the very advanced, sensitive development that aspirant must gain to become spiritually greedy. The whole world is being offered to you overnight. You want to have revelation of who am I. Experiences of pleasure and pain arise when the objects of the world are accepted as desirable realities in the movements of life. However, when they are discovered as illusion, they no longer create the impressions of attachment or hatred in the mind. Another point is being given. The world, people say, is very real. This is a practical world. But the term real has to be understood by gaining insight in your psychology or insight into the functions of mind. World is never real before you. It's the same world, the sky is the same, the earth is here. All the trees are quite relaxed. Birds are dancing. The breeze is blowing. The clouds are rumbling. People are grumbling. Why are you grumbling? No, but you are led by your own mind. Your mind is in a certain state that it moves in three stages. Physical realities that are perceived by your senses, they become very important. Next stage, your sentiments become more important than the physical realities. Third stage, your intellectual insight becomes more important than these two. These three are always mixed in your experiences. So therefore, which reality you are holding on to? Each reality is a shaking reality. You did meditation, you did your yoga mudra, and you felt, oh, nothing. Whole world is gone. Om is singing everywhere. But is that real? Soon you will start thinking out, but where is my tea? I'm joking. And similarly, your mind is shifting from one reality to another in three directions. Therefore, sannyasa demands renouncing all the three, the physical, sentimental, intellectual, and by their doing that, you have gone beyond the chitta and all its projections. O Rama, inwardly, let your vision be like the serene and pure sky, while outwardly continue to perform your duties with the spirit of detachment. The type of detachment you must promote is being described in an allegorical way. How detached you should be, that detachment will become possible when you become enlightened. And how does that detachment look like? It's like akasha. You have become the sky. And all that happens in the world, in the three planes, they are clouds. So don't get clouded. Have all the clouds, but don't get clouded. You are the sky. The sky has no burden, has not been burdened by clouds. And clouds can create all things, and you have the proof. These clouds are agreeing with me, rumbling. Soon by tomorrow, you see the sky is absolutely free. So all the rumble, grumble, and the thunder and all that has not make even a little taint, has not created even a little scratch in the sky. That is what's called Jivan Mukti. Let all things happen, but your soul's status, it has not gathered a pinch of karma. And it has moved on to its own revelation, Aham Brahma. Even when, now prior to that, his vision is, I am the sky, while outwardly continuing to perform duties with the spirit of detachment. Even when confronted by a cruel enemy who is ready to cut off your head, you should see in him the presence of the beloved self, who sees, he who sees thus is the knower of the self. That's at the highest status. And that illustrated by great sages like Mahatma Gandhi himself. Though shot down, he offers mantra, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, and expresses a feeling of people who have done it, may they be forgiven. Sabko sanmati de Bhagavan. Lord Jesus does the same. They know not what they do. O Lord God, forgive them. So we are more concerned for those who are afflicted by bhava-vyadhi, the disease of the world process. And they are the ones who are going to follow their karmic process. And as a sage, your heart has always a profound mission to aid every soul around you to be inspired. Sabko sanmati de Bhagavan. But that is not a responsibility on the part of a Jivan Mukta. It is a spontaneous, just like it is not the responsibility of your flashlight to flash out. I'm joking. It's not the responsibility, it's for the sun. Sun shines. So Jivan Mukta shines, a flower blossoms without the project of distributing fragrance, whom the fragrance should go. The wafting of the fragrance, flower has no responsibility about it. Doesn't have how much I should give, whom should I give, nothing of the sort. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. So, a Jivan Mukta, automatically, sahaj, spontaneous, creates a tremendous impact upon the world around him. Not just during his lifetime, but forever. The exemplary life presented by a sage becomes exemplary for all times. Now, what is the highest limit of that exemplary state? In Mahabharata, Yudhishthira, who is considered the embodiment of Dharma, in one of his statements, he says, when will I have that type of status? That if someone is coming from one side, bringing a garland to glorify me. Somebody is coming from the other side, bringing a sword to chop me off. And I could look at both of them with the same smile. Because his neck is neither his nor this anybody. Your neck is based on your karma, how long your body will be. So none of them has any authenticity in their action. They think they are the one who is doing it. So let them believe that They are the one who are destroying. The reality is, a sage is being led, or everybody is being led by law of karma, by God. Just as an impetuous river uproots trees by its banks, in the same manner, a divine vision arising in a sage uproots the trees of attachment, jealousy, love, hatred. Such a sage becomes free of pleasure and pain. Now, another illustration of the sage is like an impetuous river. Big destroyer. What is he destroying? Trees that people enjoy, lush trees, trees of attachment. Another type of trees you enjoy, jealousy. A lot of thorns with a lot of flowers, red flowers. Like and dislike, love and hate, all these create the world that people live in with great interest. And that world is broken up by the example presented by a sage. So his personality is like a tempestuous river. A big flood has come in, and hardly know what will survive. It's not a negative picture, described in a negative way. O Rama, if raga and dvesha are not eliminated by the force of inquiry, they will continue to exist in a subtle form. First point to understand, raga dvesha, attachment, hatred. That topic has come many times and will continue to come. Both ways your mind sustains illusion. Raga means you are depending upon certain objects or people for your happiness. And you want to secure your dependence. But it is entirely wrong. Your happiness is not outside. It is not somebody can give you that happiness. Your happiness is your own essential nature. If happiness is coming through objects or people around you, that happiness is coming from that Supreme Self, who is your reality and the realities of all. So if at all you recognize joy coming from outward source, for you it is not outward source, it's coming from God. In other words, instead of being attached to your relatives, your near and dear ones, or instead of hating them because they have not satisfied you, turn your attention to God. All people around you are channels of God's will. And any good thing you receive, thanks to God. That doesn't mean that you turn your back to this person who has given you good comfort. Recognize the person himself or herself is the same identity. Aham Brahmasmi, everyone is Brahmas. Everyone is Brahman. So that type of attachment if you are developing, of mutual help to make people recognize goodness, if that relationship develops, that's the spiritual ideal of building up real humanity. And that's the path leading to world peace. Dinesh. Continuing with the topic of raga dvesha, attachment and hatred. And what we are pointing to, sage becomes free of kleshas, afflictions. And again reminding you of the 5 points, 5 fingers. Ignorance, egoism, attachment, hatred, and fear of death. All these 5 go together. And the mind is gripped by these 5. These 5 are the fingers of the devil. Your mind is a little pet, grabbed by the 5. You don't know what really love is, but you are the pet of the ignorance. Mind entertains them all as if there is a cozy experience. fearful thoughts, sorrow, shock, frustration, they come so softly. How cute. But that type of 5 fingers are out. The sage doesn't need all that. No petting from the ignorance. Then if from another angle, even though all the 5 seem to operate in life, a sage is not, sage is lion. And you are being petted. Sage allows you to, lion allows you. If he doesn't want, you are nothing. So, the negatives that threaten one's life, one's peace, in the case of sage, they don't threaten. Because he views negatives are being the role of God, God's Leela. And there is always 2 angles, there are always purpose served. Whatever things happen in a sage, they become, that give example to the others. If sages are nothing but joyous life, where will the world be? How will they learn the lesson of patience, endurance, and all those things? So therefore, lives of sages and great personalities abound with things that you couldn't imagine. You think of terror and tragedy that you have suffered a lot. Look into their lives. And biggest example are the avatars. They go through immense torture in the storyline. But all that I'm describing are like the clouds relating to the sky. Clouds can be immensely torturous. But what has that to do with the sky? The sky is ever the same. But all these are great ideals, and that's your spiritual destiny. The ego sense is the root of attachment and hatred. Therefore, by eradicating the ego sense, one can bring about the cessation of raga and dvesha. Eradicating the ego sense, again, these are simple points given to you, but to understand it, you have to have great patience, to have more study, more integration in your life. The idea behind to understand when ego sense doesn't mean that you do not use your ego. In brief, you will be saying certain things you have done, you will be saying, I have done them, and so forth. Practical realities will be sustained by your ego. But you will not develop ahamkar, egoism. Ego is perfectly normal. And you can permit certain degree of egoism by your own permission, without becoming vain, internally conceited. So that type of movement occurring in your sense of identity, ego. Ego is your sense of identity. This is me. that me goes through transformation. And biggest transformation begins to occur when your ego surrenders. When the spirit of surrender sweeps through your ahamkar, the car goes away. Simply ego stays. Otherwise, ego is being carried away in the car of ignorance. Ignorance kidnapping you. That great soul who does not develop identity with the perishable body or a sense of possessiveness towards the objects of the world, nothing exists, nothing belongs to me. That type of understanding is saintly understanding. But he who does not have that, his intellect becomes deluded. But in the case of who has this type of understanding, that I am not the perishable body, the idea, I am the enjoyer, I am the doer, that's not real. When that has become perfect within one's personality, then that's the characteristic of enlightenment. Even if he were to destroy all these worlds, yet he is not the destroyer, nor in any way involved in karma. Certain big declaration from the scripture. Try to understand this type of statement. Immature personality, having grasped this type of statement, sticks to it. Led by his ego, he hurts others. And when people ask, you have been in the ashram and you are doing all this like that? He looks at him with glaring eyes and says, don't you know? My kundalini has been awakened. I'm not like you. Never say to me like that. I can kill them all. Look at the Yoga Vasistha. And kill them, I have no karma. So don't act stupidly. So all that I'm leading you to understand a simple point. If you become enlightened, you are Brahman. Being Brahman, you are performing everything that is performed by Brahma the creator, Vishnu the sustainer, Shiva the destroyer. When Shiva destroys them all, he has not destroyed anything. So it is from that state this description has come. It has nothing to do with a sage can literally, practically hurt people. He will not hurt even an ant. I'm talking about heart, and that subtle point. Egoism arises out of ignorance and ignorance is destroyed by the knowledge of the self. Therefore, one should endeavor to acquire knowledge, jnana. With ignorance dispelled, the ego sense ceases to exist. That type of ahamkar that asserts, this is me, this is mine, attachment, hatred, that ahamkar goes away. With ignorance dispelled, the ego sense ceases to exist. With the cessation of ego sense, the currents of attachment and hatred are destroyed. With the cessation of attachment and hatred, a sage becomes free of karmic involvements and attains the highest victory in the battle of life. Yato dharmas tato vijaya, tato jaya. His dharma has attained victory. He is no longer affected by the alternating experiences of pleasure and pain that constitute the world process. As long as the personality is existing in the world is always blended with raga dvesha, pleasure, pain, attachment, hatred, gain, loss. I'm mostly highlighting the gain and loss, prosperity and adversity. In both conditions, the mind stays just, because mind is focused on the truth, and truth has not been shaken. That's what we brought out in the Tulsi Ramayana, glorifying Rama, prasannata mayana gata bhishekata, tathana mamle banavasa dukhata, mukhambuja shri raghunandanasya me, tadastu samanjula mangala prada. That face of Rama that remained cheerful when he was given the kingdom and when the kingdom was taken away from him. May that divine face give us auspiciousness, tender shoots of auspiciousness every day. If you install that face as your ideal and you want to grow in that image, every day will bring to you a new, delightful opening for a higher level. Every day will be purposeful. That's called Manjula Mangala Pradha. Mangal is auspiciousness. Manjul, tender buds. So all the auspiciousness doesn't dump upon you immediately. Day by day you get little more. And with this I will conclude. Om Shri Ramaya Namah. Om Shri Ramaya Namah. Om Shri Ramaya Namah. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om. Prayer for shower of divine grace. What type of grace? Grace that showers. Karunamaya Ras. The nectarine shower of grace. Grace of compassion. To alleviate sufferings that the modern world is going through coronavirus. And may every soul be awakened to understand that the bigger virus is death, mrityu virus, virus of mortality. And that is your central project in life. And may God bless you with Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Shakti is strength, Bhakti love of God, Mukti a revelation. You are not a reflected sun shaking in pots of water. You are the sun. So you don't have to shake or wait to be waked. Om Srayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukmuga Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.
Does anyone have a question? Vani?
Pranam Guruji, my question, oh, this is okay? Okay. It's a simplistic question. It has to do with Lord Krishna and how to explain to devotees who are not familiar with yoga concept when there's this thing that, Lord Krishna, he glorifies his Gita, but yet he has 108 wives. Or he dances
No, you were wrong, you were wrong.
That
He had 16,000.
Yeah, never mind, yeah. I remember, yeah, you're right. You're right. I caught myself. You're right. But that mentality.
First you have to understand this type of problem we will constantly face because the scriptures are allegorical. So, if not only that, you will find countless things that are completely irrational. Think of the entire Mahabharata, brought about because Draupadi couldn't dress up her hair. Keeping that in view, the idea he is married to 16,000. If you study Raj Yoga, 16,000 nadis radiate from your heart. So all those 16,000, they become, herein, put it more precisely, Krishna had so many gopis, similar count. Those gopis are the nadis through which sentiments become highly advanced. Tender sentiments flow. There are so many nadis. And that's what Krishna and Radha is a central feeling. All other types of feelings, tender feelings, they are all nadis. They are all the gopis. They dance with Krishna. Now Krishna married to 16,000 queens. They are 16,000 attributes. God, ocean of compassion. God, Satyabhama, truth, shiny truth. God, married to Jambavanti. Storyline, the daughter of a bear who was 3,000, 4,000 year old. He's married to Rukmini. These are just a few names. And through every one, he had 10 sons. We'll get into more complications. That's an extension of divine prosperity. As you advance, so many things happen in your personality that are tuning you to the whole world. All that is brought into allegorical way, that the whole world is viewed as Krishna's glory manifesting everywhere. And this type of statement or this type of talk comes even in the Bible. Jesus is ever unmarried. Do you know how many brides he has? As many churches. Every church is considered his bride. And he is the big bridegroom. So, every religion uses allegorical descriptions. So, if you understand that, then you use your own common sense how to explain that.
Thank you, Guruji.
Yeah.
I love tonight, especially the part about compassion. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, so we conclude for tonight and await the miracle of Friday's lecture at 7:30 on the Tulsi Ramayana.
Miracle.